Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Dakbo Adigboyi. The top stories at this hour. Organized labor suspends protest over continuous police barricade of council secretariats in Rivers State. Sections of Christ Embassy Church in Lagos destroyed in early morning blaze. Nigerian army eliminates prominent Islamic State terrorist. Details in a moment. The news begins with political update in the southeast, where the organized labor in Rivers State, South Nigeria, has suspended its plan to protest against the non-withdrawal of policemen from the 23 local government council secretariats of the state after the expiration of their 4 days ultimatum to the Inspector General of Police. Now, this was made known to newsmen at a joint press conference by the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress Rivers State Chapter in Port Harcourt, the state capital. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu completes the report.
Following the recent political developments in Rivers State, where local government staffs across the 23 local government areas have been denied access to their offices due to security agencies taking over the secretariat's complexes, the organized labor in the state had earlier issued a 4-day ultimatum to the Inspector General of Police to vacate his men from the council secretariats or bear the consequences. 3 days after, the union leaders are here to provide updates about the proposed action.
We have it on good authority that some miscreants have been fully mobilized by the enemies of Rivers State to cause mayhem across the 23 local government areas under the cover of organized labor ultimatum, which elapses on Monday, 24th of June, 2024.
While speaking on the reasons for the suspension of the proposed protest, the organized labor in the state said they have uncovered plans by some suspected politicians and hoodlums in the state to hijack the protest. They, however, called on the Nigeria police to be vigilant to arrest and prosecute anyone found to be breaching the unfettered peace in the state.
We hereby inform our members and the general public as follows. 1. That Rivers State organized labor has not directed anyone or group of persons to embark on any form of strike action or demonstration following the lockout of our members at the various local government areas in Rivers State by the Nigerian police. Impacted affiliate unions were advised, especially the Nigerian of Local Government Employees (NOGE), is hereby directed to remain on standby until further notice for likely lawful industrial action by the organized labor.
These miscreants have concluded plans to take undue advantage of a peaceful protest or strike that may have commenced tomorrow to cause mayhem in Rivers State, to enable them continue to pursue their selfish act of asking for a state of emergency to be declared in Rivers State. We reject that, and we want to inform the general public that we hereby step down all our planned peaceful protests slated for tomorrow.
In another development, these ousted council chairmen have accused both the NLC and TUC of being biased and partisan in the ongoing political crisis in the state.
Now, what we observed from the list of caretaker committee members, we observed that across the 23 LGAs, that appointments were made from NOLGE members as part of the caretaker, whereas these NOLGE members are staff of the council. They are not supposed to be. And that is the reason why we observed recently that NOLGE has collaborated with NLC and TUC to carry out a protest tomorrow being the 24th day of June against the police report that the IG has ordered to stay in the councils to maintain law and order so that there will not be any further death as we experience in Omoma local government.
Meanwhile, the organized labor in the state have denied being partisan, but reiterated their commitment to continue fighting for the rights of their members. In Port Harcourt for News Central, Austin Azu.
Chairman, Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Adolfo Swabara, has said the party would not accept any declaration of state of emergency in the state. The BOT chairman, who expressed worry over the ongoing political developments in the oil-rich state, advised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu not to allow self-seeking anti-democratic forces stuck in the embers of war in Rivers State push him into taking any step that could plunge the state into chaos. He warned that any action to undermine democracy or tamper with democratically elected government of Simfu Bara could spell doom for the entire country. The former Senate president said he was yet to see the constitutionality of council chairmen whose tenure had elapsed attempting to perpetuate themselves in office against the laws of the land. Earlier, we were joined by member caretaker committee Port Harcourt City local government area, Tekena Bosi, who shared his thoughts.
Plain and straightforward. For it is so disappointing and disheartening for a person in the likes of the caretaker chairman of the APC, Chief Tony Okocha, to at this point in time call for a state of emergency in Rivers State. We all know the state is very peaceful and calm. We wake up every day with news of hundreds of deaths in the northern part of Nigeria. And there has not been any day that a state of emergency has been proclaimed or called upon in any of those areas. You know, rather than look for a way to resolve conflicts, you are saying that they should call for a state of emergency where there is no problem. River State is peaceful. Everybody is going along with their normal daily businesses. So how can an APC chairman say they should call for a state of emergency in River State?
Nigeria's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar visited ex-President Muhammadu Buhari in Daura, Katsina State on Saturday. The purpose of the visit was not disclosed, but videos on social media showed them working and conversing with their associates. This visit follows Atiku's recent meetings with former military president Ibrahim Babangida and ex-military head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar in Mina, Niger State. Atiku has been a fierce competitor against Buhari over the past decade. In 2014, he contested for the APC presidential ticket, but came third. In 2019, he ran against Buhari on the People's Democratic Party's platform, came second, and unsuccessfully challenged the results in court. Last year, he lost to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and also failed in his court challenge. Now, joining me on the news at this time to discuss this is God Bless Otubore, a political analyst. Thank you for joining me on the news. God bless. Atiku's visit to Buhari and Babangida have sparked speculations that he may be preparing to run again for the top job in the country. What do you make of this?
I mean, at the moment, it's just speculation because the man himself has not said he is, running for office. But of course, when somebody like Atiku Abubakar visits someone like Buhari, there is always the tendency to read political meaning to it. And of course, if you look at the trajectory of the meetings he's been having over the last couple of weeks or months, analysts are saying, it looks like it's preparing the way for 2027. Because I know that after the Supreme Court judgment, he did say that, INEC and every other person observing, and even the APC should clearly understand that he is not stepping away, but he's going to continue to work for Nigeria's democracy. So I think it is not out of place for people to think that he is just preparing the ground for such level of a run.
All right. Now, God bless this pattern of politicians, particularly those who have vested interest in, well, I call it running for, offices, particularly when it comes to, the presidential level. We see a pattern where they visit ex-presidents. We are beginning, we saw it with Buhari himself, we saw it with President Tinubu, and right now we are seeing, something more, similar to that with Atiku Abubakar. My question to you is this. This, crop of ex-leaders, how relevant are they to the current political climate in the country?
How relevant are they? So their relevance cannot be analyzed from one dimension. The scale of their relevance in 2003 cannot be said to be the same in 2024. And that is simply because the political process has evolved, and we have seen the unraveling of some of the mystery surrounding some of these people. Buhari has been given the opportunity to be president twice, and the country will not say it was a better experience. We've seen Obasanjo flip-flop in some of his position over the years. He's antagonized Goodluck, he supported Buhari, he's unsupported Buhari. We've seen Babangida, he tried to run, he didn't get a ticket, then Abdul Salam is all about the peace process right now. Their relevance has definitely not remained the same. Nevertheless, because of how the political system was designed from 1999 and the way the resources have been apportioned and the level of power behind the scene, the way it has been designed has continually made these ex-leaders relevant, because they still have a lot of people that they put in the military, they have a lot of people that they put in the police. Most of the guys who are in INEC today are probably people that, were part of their list. Go to the civil service, they have people that they've put there. Behind the scene, when the curtain is not raised, they have a lot of influence. But in an emerging world where we've sort of started using technology to decide who wins an election, a new electoral act, their relevance is diminishing. But we cannot rule it out, but we cannot also say it is where it is. So there's significance to such engagement, but of course the millennials and the Gen Zs are going to say we don't care, whatever you do, we're going to make the decision.
Anyway, that will lead me to my next question. Talking about the millennials and Gen Z, we don't see this kind of, will I call it political plotting, particularly for those that maybe have an eye to, someday, get the top job. Why is that?
Well, it is also because of the kind of society that Nigeria is at the moment. To be able to get the audience of Babangida, Abdul Salam, Obasanjo, Buhari, for a young person who is not the son of a Tinubu, is not the son of a Theophilus Danjuma, is not the son of it is difficult. Why are the sons of these names, why are they not doing it? And it's a different kettle of fish. But because you have, elder hegemony of some sort, where, Nigeria, it's terrible. There's still no respect and commitment to nurture the next generation of leaders and give them access without stress from most of these people. So to even access them is hard. That is why Gen Z and millennials are saying, you know what? If an emerging platform of organizing to political power continues to emerge, then we will rather not have godfathers that we have to run to. So it's also two-dimensional. Our generation is saying we don't want to have godfathers that will be telling us what to do, because they can claim that it was because you came to them that you became president. It does not take away the fact that we are going to negotiate and engage, but it's also a case of try to reach out and see the bottlenecks. It is almost impossible. It's not impossible because you still can reach Babangida and the rest of them if you continue to press it there. But also there is the thinking that if we must transform Nigeria, then we must change the way we access political power. And that in itself is why you don't see all of this junketting from one ex-leader to the other by younger generation, especially millennials and Gen Zs.
Okay, I'm still going to stay with you, on that line of thought, talking about the millennials and Gen Zs. What options are there? Because, this same ex-leaders, in their prime, many of them got involved in active politics. So, yes. So what options are there, particularly for the next generation of leaders? How can they, key into that journey early enough?
Well, so how do you key into the journey early enough? Is to get involved in the democratic process. Either you're working in the CSO space, or you're part of a political party, or you are working with somebody who is in office, or you just have natural interest to make things better. There is really no other strategy than what I have said. Get involved, get involved, get involved. I'm saying it now to every young person. Look, we're in our 30s right now. Some of us have registered to be members of political parties. Some of us have not. Now, those who have, continue to do so. Those of us who are out at the moment and are working in the civil society space, we're building the infrastructure that to make politics better for younger people and for a new country to emerge. So there is really no sitting on the fence. There's no saying I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm an engineer, and then I don't care. No. The way the country is right now, it is everybody's responsibility to be involved in the process. Register to join a political party, continue to advocate for better government and credible elections. And when you have things to do that has to do with the country, be involved. And let me say another thing, how young people can get involved. And I've said this on other forums. We need to start funding democratic work from private sector. The Nigerian SMEs, I know your profit is terribly hurt right now by inflation. I know the country has not really done this, as a practice. But for young people, the Florida waves, the pay stacks, we
get it. You may not need to mention names, but we get the picture.
Right?
Okay.
I'm just saying, all of these institutions, you need to devote at least a minimum of, even if 0.5% of your budget to funding democratic process. That way, we are influencing policy, making the country better, and we can hold government accountable when eventually get into office. Yeah.
All right. God bless Otubore, political analyst. Thank you for joining me on the news.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
All right. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we have more stories. Stay with us. An early Sunday morning fire at the Christ Embassy Church, Ikeja, Lagos State, has been put out, though it destroyed property worth millions of naira. The fire incident is not the first to be recorded at the Nigerian headquarters of the church. The good thing is that no life was lost in the incident. News Central's Chidima Ona brings us more in this report.
We arrived at the scene about 9 a.m. Firefighters were battling to contain the inferno. One truck after another emptied their content into the church building. Our attempt to get closer and gather information met with fierce hostilities from those who claim to be officials of the church and police personnel. Other journalists were also restricted, and no official of the church who were the eyewitness to the incident were willing to speak to the press. 2 hours after our arrival, the fire was subdued. but that relief short-lived as thick smoke began to surge from another end of the church building. Even the spot where the flame was put out earlier found fresh energy to burn. After another 2 hours, General Manager of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency emerged from the building. He said the fire has been put out.
We are able to curtail the spread of the fire, and we are now looking at the secondary challenges, because we've seen a lot of structural defects, cracking, and we are combining it with evacuations and making sure the place is safe. However, I need to assure the good people of Lagos State that we are on top of the challenges. There is no mortality, there is no mobility, although the fire is massive, and very soon it will be totally put off.
The cause of the fire will wait for an investigation. Mr. Osanyutolu also said the next step is to assess the integrity of the building.
We are in the stage of looking at the secondary challenges. So we are still working. The operation is still ongoing, and I'm sure we will give you a detail when we finish.
Firefighting equipment and other heavy machinery of emergency responders made last-minute checks. While recovery efforts commenced, Christ Embassy Church will be counting their losses in the coming days. It is also expected that the precautionary measures will be put in place to prevent future occurrences, as this is not the first fire incident to be recorded by the church. Chidimma Ona, reporting for News Central.
The Plateau State Independent Electoral Commission is set to collaborate with all stakeholders to implement policies that strengthen democracy. The newly inaugurated chairman of the commission, Planji Shishak, emphasized this commitment during his first media chat with journalists. Shishak called upon citizens of the state to join them in this journey by reuniting to rebuild, retool, reorganize this institution above individuals and narrowed interest, such that they could all be proud of one where democracy flourishes and governance reflects the will of the people.
The last two cycles of local government elections on the Plateau were the most shameful, most disgraceful, most absurd, and gave Plateau a bad name. Set out modalities for credible elections that even international organizations will have to come and monitor.
We have already commenced immediate actions and are doing our readiness checks. We are identifying administrative and operational gaps and weaknesses. We are developing and implementing policies that will pave the way for free, fair, and credible elections at the grassroots. Our goal is to establish a level playing field that instills confidence across all political parties in Plateau State, respecting the multi-party system and the nature we have in the state. Under my watch as the chairman, Plateau State is steadfast in its commitment to ensuring that every Plateau citizen exercises his democratic right to vote for local leaders.
Joining me on the news at this time is Mr. Planji Shishak, Chairman, Plateau State Independent Electoral Commission. Thank you for joining. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges that you have observed and you hope to address with immediate effect, with reference to the soundbite we had of you just a while ago.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to serve in this capacity with the experience of the election management body I was before coming here. Like you rightly pointed out, there are administrative and operational gaps that we observe. And we are studying it carefully. We've started meeting with stakeholders. We have met with international agencies such as IFS. We are meeting with political parties this week to further consolidate on the processes that we're having. The organizational structure that we inherited is something that we have set aside to be able to reorganize it in such a way it can carry both the management and the staff of the commission, because it's very important to connect between the management of the commission with also the staff who are there, who are the engine room of the activities of electoral process. So these are some of the gaps. Of course, there are other gaps. CX usually get registers from INEC because INEC is a statutory body that conducts registration of voters. And there is disparity between the electoral wards that we have in the state and the one that INEC has. INEC has 207, PlaSec has 325. So we are having new polling units after the last conduct of the election conducted by PlaSec in 2021. Now that there are additional polling units, so we need to aggregate those polling units of 207 from the INEC wards into the 325. These are some of the operational gaps that we are looking and we are trying to focus. And then again, we are looking at the offices, we are looking at the staff, we are auditing the staff to see the capacity and the training needs. We are also looking at all the other logistic needs and so on and so on. I think basically these are the few things that we have identified.
All right. Now, the governor expressed displeasure over the quality of local government polls conducted in the state. How do you hope to address some of these concerns?
Like the governor said, sometimes when you are working in this capacity, you have to own the process. You have to also involve stakeholders and make the process so open and transparent. You have to follow procedures, dot the I's and cross the T's, and ensure that regulations are followed. But where you have elections ongoing and people and election results are already being declared, you disenfranchise the people using taxpayers' money, a lot of money. You know, election is a very expensive exercise, and using taxpayers' money to organize election and procedures are not followed, and it becomes so embarrassing that people who are yet at the collection center are hearing that election results have been declared. You know, so the governor has the right to say what he has said, and maybe that's the reason why a lot of people are calling out for the complete scrapping of the State Independent Electoral Commission, which ought not to be so. So basically, that is it.
All right. Now, Plateau State has been engulfed in the political, religious, and also tribal crisis. How will you manage all of this to ensure credible polls at the end of the day?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Plateau State is a mini, but geographically is located at the center of Nigeria, and with the mining activities that happened earlier in the last century, Plateau State is like a miniature Nigeria. That explains the reason why you have issues. Once you have issues in Plateau, you see the thing escalates to so many places. But by the grace of God, since the governor has assumed office, there is relative calm. People are going about their businesses, but that's not to say we are all not also preempting situations that could come. We have a peace agency that was established by the past government. We also intend to tap from that to get early warning signals in conflict and so on. We will also try to engage the security agencies who are already on ground. We have this Operation Rainbow, this Plateau-based security organization that is already in place, which was an intervention. And we have the Nigerian police who are willing to partner with us. By the grace of God, this week we are going around to get feelers from the security and advice on the security. So we are trusting God that by the grace of God, things will pan out well for us here on the Plateau.
All right. Mr. Planji Shishak, Chairman, Plateau State Independent Electoral Commission, thank you for your time on the news and, of course, all the best on your new appointment.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. God bless you. Have a good evening.
All right. Now, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commiserated with the Chairman, Senate Committee on Judiciary, Legal Matters and Human Rights, who is the Senator representing Borno North, Mohammed Tahir, over the death of his father, Alhaji Tijani Mohammed. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented the President, joined other prominent figures, including the Deputy Senate President, Borno State Acting Governor, Dr. Umar Kadafo, in attending the funeral in Maiduguri. Now, News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The funeral of Alhaji Tijani Muhammad, an international businessman, held in Maiduguri, was a solemn occasion that brought together a wide range of personalities, including political leaders, religious figures, and community representatives, among others. The prayer was led by the Imam Ideni of Borno, after which the remains of the deceased was laid to rest at the Gwange graveyard in Maiduguri. Senator Muhammad Tahir Manguno, a prominent member of the Nigerian legislature, was visibly moved as he received condolences from the attendees.
He died at the ripe age of 95. It's a celebration of life, not a cause for mourning. May Allah grant his soul eternal rest and reward him with his Al-Jannah Firdaus. May Allah also give the family to fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. But in reality, it's a celebration of life. For someone to live to the ripe old age of 95 is a cause for celebration, not for mourning. Allah has blessed him with children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. We hope and pray that you and I will live that long.
It's a great loss to the people of Borno State and to the family, particularly the MT Monguno and his siblings. We pray for Almighty Allah to grant him Al-Jannah to Firdaus. And we pray for Almighty Allah to give the family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. So on behalf of His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno, we condole the family of Senator MT Monguno about this unfortunate, loss of their father.
The Vice President, among other personalities, prayed for the repose of the deceased as he left behind 17 children and many grandchildren. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Coming up on the news, Nigerian army eliminates prominent Islamic State terrorist. We have details of this and more after now. The news continues in West Africa. In a significant military operation, Niger's army announced on Sunday the elimination of a prominent Islamic State fighter in the volatile western region of the country. The raid, which took part in the Tillaberi region, a notorious hotspot that borders Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, resulted in the death of Abdoulaye Soleimani Idawel, identified by military officials as an influential member of the terrorist group. The operation forms part of ongoing efforts to combat jihadist insurgencies that have plagued the region for years. The Tillaberi region has suffered frequent attacks targeting civilians, leading to significant displacement. The current military government, which came to power following a coup in July, cited deteriorating security conditions as a key reason for their takeover. In addition to combating Islamic State forces, the government is also engaged in fighting Boko Haram and its splinter group, the Islamic State West African province, ISWAP, across different regions of Niger. Kenyan forces are scheduled to depart for Haiti on June 25th to spearhead a United Nations-backed mission aimed at curbing gang violence, according to government and police sources on Sunday. Despite ongoing court challenges, Kenya has committed to sending approximately 1,000 police officers to help stabilize the Caribbean nation, joining personnel from several other countries. President William Ruto has been a vocal supporter of the mission, reiterating this month that deployment would commence soon. The United Nations Security Council approved the mission in October, but a Kenyan court delayed the deployment in January, citing government's lack of authority to send police officers abroad without prior agreement. The necessary agreement was secured on March 1st, but a small opposition party has since filed a new lawsuit in an attempt to block the deployment. In addition to Kenya, countries such as Benin, the Bahamas, Bangladesh, Barbados, and Chad have expressed their willingness to participate in the mission. Staying in Kenya, the President, William Ruto, said he is ready for a conversation with thousands of young protesters who held nationwide demonstrations this week to oppose the proposed tax increase. Led largely by Gen Z Kenyans who had live-streamed the demonstrations, the protests caught the government off guard as discontent mounts over Ruto's economic policies. According to rights campaigners, 2 persons have died and dozens others injured in Thursday's demonstrations in the capital, Nairobi. The demonstrations were mostly peaceful, but officers fired tear gas and water cannon throughout the day in an attempt to disperse the crowd. Ruto's administration has defended the proposed levies as necessary for filling its coffers and cutting reliance on external borrowing. Thousands protest in Tel Aviv against the Netanyahu coalition and for a deal that would release the hostages held in Gaza since October 7th. Large protesters have occurred in the Israeli city as on a weekly basis over Netanyahu's handling of the nearly 9-month-old war in Gaza. Many protesters held signs reading "Prime Minister" and "Stop the War" as people poured into the biggest Israeli city's main thoroughfare. Many are frustrated with the country's right-wing coalition, which includes Security Minister and other far-right ultra-nationalists, accusing it of prolonging the war in Gaza and putting the country's security and hostages at risk. Up next is business news.
In business news, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC, will complete the OB3 gas pipeline by August. The project is expected to boost the nationwide gas supply significantly. During a recent inspection, NNPC CEO Mele Kyari said that the project is key to unlocking Nigeria's gas revolution, adding that delays due to technical challenges have been addressed with new technology, ensuring completion by mid-August. The OB3 pipeline acts as a crucial connector, linking eastern, western, and northern gas networks. This improved connectivity is expected to deliver an additional 2.2 billion standard cubic feet of gas daily. Kyari further explained that the project is a positive step for Nigeria's gas-reliant industries, paving the way for a more stable and competitive economy. Still in Nigeria, Nigeria's Environment Ministry launched the State Climate Desk Officers Coordination Meeting to tackle climate change. Permanent Secretary in the ministry, Mahmoud Kambari, emphasized collaboration as key to strengthening national efforts in mitigating and adapting to climate change. Mahmoud Kambari further stated that the purpose of the launch was to reenact and foster existing synergy of the national and subnationals to improve reporting on climate action. By establishing a stronger network of state-level climate officers and equipping them with improved communication tools, the ministry hopes to significantly strengthen Nigeria's collective response to the unprecedented challenges posed by climate change. And finally, in East Africa, fresh produce exports from Tanzania and Uganda using refrigerated containers, also known as reefers, through the Mombasa port in Kenya have grown by 6% compared to last year. This increase coincides with the installation of 1,367 new reefer power points at the port, facilitating efficient cold storage for perishable goods. The shift towards sea freight is credited partly to Trademark Africa's $380 million initiative promoting sustainable value chains. Consumers, particularly in Europe, are driving demand for environmentally friendly practices, making sea transport an attractive option compared to air freight's higher carbon footprint. Mombasa Port is further streamlining the process by offering on-site perishable goods approval through the Kentrade National Electronic Single Window System. This reduces delays and ensures a smooth export journey for East African produce, making it a more competitive player in the global market. That's our offering on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasome Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Up next is sports news.
In sport, top athletes such as Mari Jose Talu, Favour Ofidi, Rosemary Chukuma and Sean Mashagwai did not start their respective 100-meter semi-final races at the ongoing African Championship in Douala, Cameroon due to poor treatment planning by the organizers. Botswana star Leslie Tebogo started and was disqualified in the men's 100-meter semi-final, a race that was won by Ivory Coast Ismail Kone in 10.03 seconds. Nigeria's Koyinsola Ajayi finished second to qualify for the men's 100-meter final. Meanwhile, Olayinka Olajide of Nigeria competed in the women's 100-meter semis, finishing second in a race to qualify for the final. She recovered from a poor start and almost ran down Claudine Njaraso from Madagascar, who ran the personal best of 11.35 seconds. It will be recalled Tebogo, Ofili, Talu in separate tweets called out the organizers for the ill treatment meted at them. Talu Smith filmed at the chaotic travel arrangement for athletes at the event, which started on Friday in Douala, Cameroon, saying she had to hire a taxi to the stadium when other athletes had been escorted by security personnel to the venue. Away from athletics to football, President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Musa Gusso, will represent the Nigeria Premier League Winners' Trophy to champions-elect Rangers International FC of Enugu at the new Zaria Road Stadium in Jos on Sunday. The head of the NFF is expected to be the main guest at the event. The champions, who secured their 8th MPFL title by defeating Bendel Insurance Tinio at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium last weekend, will play against relegated Gombe United FC in a match that evokes contrasting emotions. The much-loved Savannah Scorpions are already contemplating life in the Lower Kede Nigeria National League, while the Flying Antelopes, 1977 African Cup Winners' Cup champions, will fly Nigeria's flag in the prestigious CAF Champions League competition for the first time in many years. Away from there to athletics, Ghana has been awarded the rights to host the 2026 Confederation of African Athletics Senior Championship, triumphing over Botswana in a competitive bid. The country's athletics governing body, Ghana Athletics, announced on Saturday via its social media handles that the West African nation will host the 2026 edition. Out of the 15 countries that voted for the next competition host, Ghana garnered 12 votes, while Botswana managed only 3. The country's successful bid was led by the delegation, including Deputy Director General of the National Sports Authority, Bawa Majid, President of the Ghana Athletics, Bawa Fosieni, and Vice President in charge of administration, Charles Osai Asibe. Following the CA General Assembly in Douala, where it was announced that Botswana and Ghana are the countries being considered, the latter was encouraged to bid for the prestigious event, leveraging its world-class facilities showcased during the recent African Games 2023 and the CAA Region 2 Senior Championships. The country is now expected to deliver another exemplary event in 2026. And to wrap up sports updates, we'll go straight to Formula 1, where McLaren's Lando Norris peeped Max Verstappen's Red Bull to pole position at the Spanish Grand Prix in a gripping qualifying session. Verstappen had appeared out of reach when he improved his own time, which was already fastest by more than 0.2 seconds on his final run. But Norris crossed the line a few seconds later to beat Verstappen and take his first pole of the year. And Lewis Hamilton outqualified teammate George Russell for only the second time this season as the Mercedes drivers took third and fourth. Their performance underlined Mercedes' reemergence as contenders close to the front after a series of car development as they beat the Ferrari drivers Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz to 5th and 6th place despite an upgrade on the Italian cars. That wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favour Itua.
And that's a wrap on the news at this time. But before we go, another look at some of our top stories. We told you that organized labor suspends protest over continuous police barricade of council secretariats in Rivers State. We also told you that sections of Christ Embassy Church in Lagos destroyed in early morning blaze. Nigerian army eliminates prominent Islamic State terrorist. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. You can also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live across these platforms: DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Dakbo Adigbui. Good night.